Hello everyone, I'm Claire from Absolute Radio. We're going to do a little Q&A here to officially open The Who at 52 here on Brewer Street, which is looking amazing. Whoever's kitted this out, we applaud you. It looks ignore the turn next to me. Roger Daltrey, welcome to Brewer Street.
Hey, good to be here. Good to see you all. Thanks for coming. Oh, I've got to talk to this.
Yeah.
This is very complicated.
Yeah, just you talk into that one, and I'm into. We do audio, Roger. We're okay. We can do this together. So welcome everyone. This is the launch of The Who at 52, which is a pop-up shop which is lasting just for 2 days only.
That's right. Yeah, and it's celebrating. This is 50 years of Tommy and Woodstock. And Tommy was really the record that kept the Who together for all this time. Some people were saying, I wish it had to come out. But it really was the record that wrote the Who into the big time and led to us doing things like Who's Next, on the Choreographia and all those things. And this is a live album of a tour that I did last year, where I was asked to do a tour with an orchestra through an arts circuit in America, and I said, yes, I'll play with your orchestras, but I'll only do it if I have a rock band with them as well. So it gave me a chance to finally do Tommy in a way that I've always kind of heard it in my head. If you look back through interviews I've done over the years, you'll see that I've quite often talked about people writing in a classical form, the way he writes music. When you look at the chords and the structures and the voicings of the chords, it's written in a classical format. So this gave me the chance to kind of bring to life the Tommy that I've had in my head for a very, very long time. And I had to find a special kind of arranger to do this. And I found a guy called David Campbell, who is the father of Beck, the artist Beck, who I'm a big fan of. And my instructions to David were that I want this orchestra to really be as though this is a 50-odd piece rock band with classical instruments. I don't want you to write anything that comes near to sounding like something that can be played on a keyboard, you know, like a Kurzweil or a synthesizer. I want it to be percussive, melodic, and punchy and ballsy. And I've got to tell you, the results I think are wonderful. So here I was this time last year in Bethel, which is 1,000 metres from the original stage at Woodstock, and it's 49 years later, and we're rehearsing putting Tommy on stage for the first night of these 12 shows I did in America with an orchestra. And what I've ended up with on this record is a recording of that first night, because when I heard the live recording I thought people deserve to hear this. There's something magical about it. I'm very proud of it. There's no overdubs on it from the band or me. That's the live show. The only thing that's overdubbed, unfortunately, due to economic restrictions, in other words my pocket, I could not afford to pay the orchestra to be on the record. They wanted an extortionate amount of money that you could never ever earn out of a live album, and I had to take the orchestra off. And I went to Budapest and put another orchestra on, and they were very cheap and very good. and it got the same effect. So that's the only thing that's overdubbed. I'm very proud of this record. It's like I say, to me, it's like Tommy's come of age, and I hope you enjoy it.
Tommy Orchestral is out tomorrow. The musicians must have loved performing the music. What was their initial reaction?
Well, the orchestras. We were out with the Who are out with an orchestra now. We've just done our 11 shows in America, the first leg of our American tour, and every orchestra come off stage. They're floating on air. They say it's so refreshing to play your music. You know, it's so great to play a new form of classical music, because these guys are playing Mozart, you know, Handel, all that stuff every night of their lives. These are the top musicians in America. they are so excited to be doing this, and they're having the time of their life. To see an orchestra smile when they're playing is quite a rare occurrence, but they're smiling.
Let's talk a bit more about Tommy when it was first came into. I mean, it's an album now. It's a movie. It's a musical. It's an orchestral. You said in your book when you first started rehearsing for Tommy, you discovered what you could do with your voice in those first 4 rehearsals, and that's what you've used ever since, basically.
Yeah, I mean, in the studio when we recorded it, we did it song at a time, and then we were doing gigs at the same time that we were recording. We were in the studio all afternoon into sometimes the early evening, and then we'd go off and do a gig, and then go back to the studio the next day, and there was sometimes 3 or 4 days gaps from recording. So it was all pieced together song at a time, and you never quite know how the thing's going to hang together until you actually get it on the stage and play it from beginning to end. Once we got it there, we rehearsed it in Southall Community Centre. I suddenly realised that I can't just sing it like I sang it on the record. I had to make this thing have a different dynamic. And so it made me dig deeper into my voice, and it just grew and grew and grew. It carried on from my voice into my personality. I suddenly realised that because I kind of was a little bit sceptical about it really being an opera. I thought it was a good bit of rock and roll hype. But it really is an opera, and today I think it's one of the best operas ever written. Certainly got the most lyrics. Because I don't know whether you've ever seen the lyrics of some of the grand operas. You get the same line repeated 10 times. You go, well, couldn't they have thought of something else? So I suddenly realised that I had to develop myself as a personality to be this character, Tommy, that was singing his music. And I kind of grew out of it, if you will. So it was fertiliser for me, the older me.
Let's talk about Wembley Stadium. Let's talk about the first time The Who played at Wembley Stadium. What can you remember of that?
Well, I just finished the film at Vicar, and I remember, I think it was I'd just come from the film set to the stadium for the rehearsal the night before. It was kind of weird. What year was it? It was 79, wasn't it? Yeah. I can't remember whether it was a good gig or a bad gig.
Well, apparently you were with AC/DC and the Stranglers.
That's right. I remember that.
That's a lineup.
But I can't remember if it was a good gig. Wembley Stadium, the old Wembley Stadium, was a very kind of weird place to play from the stage. It was very long, and the sound systems in those days were very rudimentary. But the crowd seemed to be happy. It seemed to go down well. That's about it. But I can remember Live Aid better than I can remember our own gig. The one I remember most was the Freddie Mercury tribute concert, where I had the horrible job of being the first one out. And that is a terrifying spot to occupy, I've got to tell you.
Were you seriously terrified?
Well, it's just this.
You're Roger Daltrey.
Yeah, but it's like, I'm playing with a strange band. I'm singing a song that I've never sung live before, only in rehearsal. And of course, it's Freddie. He's got this huge reputation. It was a bit of a tall order. But equally, I watch it now. I watched it. Somebody sent it to me the other day and said, "What an entrance!" I thought, "What are you talking about?" And I clicked on it, and it's me coming on stage at the beginning of that concert, and I'm singing "I Want It All." And the entrance I make when I'm spinning my microphone, watching the look on Brian May's face, it's priceless. He'd go, and that's when I could really throw that thing, because I could see it quite well. It is quite an entrance.
I must go and check that out.
Yeah, it's worth looking at.
So you're going to be back at the stadium next month?
Yes, with the orchestra.
And what else can you tell us what you have planned? But obviously we know the orchestra will be there.
Well, we do some of Tommy, we do some Quadrophenia, we do a lot of the hits. the dynamic of the show goes from the orchestra, full-blown rock Who, sometimes the Who on its own, and goes down to just Pete on acoustic guitar with me singing. So the dynamic of the show is bigger than it's ever been. We're hoping to do a few songs, a couple of songs from our new album, which I think everybody goes, I've grown, time to go to the toilet. I'm telling you that I think they'll fit in with this show, and you'll go, it will prick your ears up. And even though it's something you haven't heard before, it will captivate you. The new album, I was very sceptical, the Who are recording a new album.
I've been watching some of the vlogs, yeah.
When I first heard the songs, I was very sceptical whether I could ever do it, because I thought Pete had written a really great solo album. And I said to him, Pete, what do you want me to do this for? You release it as a solo album, it's great. And he said, no, I want it to be a Who album. And I said, well, but I can't find my way into it. And anyway, he said, well, that's what I want it to be. So I took the songs away and I listened to them and had some ideas which I told him about. And he let me have a bit of freedom with changing a few things, changing the tenses of songs and little issues. He gives me complete melodic freedom. And I've got to tell you, from being very sceptical, I'm now incredibly optimistic that we've made our best album since Quadrophenia. Some of his songs, I mean, Pete hasn't lost it, believe me. He's still a fabulous songwriter, and he's still got that cutting edge that Who always have.
Let's talk about some of the people who will be performing with you or supporting you on the day. Eddie Vedder of Pearl Jam will be there.
Ed the Ved. He's such a great friend, and he's such a great supporter. He supports the Teenage Cancer Trust, the Teen Cancer America that I've started over there. He's always there for us, Eddie, and we'll always be there for him. It's great to have friends on the same show.
Kaiser Chiefs also?
Yeah, again, go back a long way with them. They supported us at Hyde Park last time. Great Sheffield band.
And Imelda May.
And Imelda, yes, she's something special too. Yeah, I haven't seen her live.
Oh right, so
No,
a treat in store.
Yeah.
That's an incredible voice.
Yes, I've heard her, of course, but I've never seen her live, only on TV. So let's see. I'm looking forward to that.
You touched on the fact that, of course, it's 50 years of Woodstock this year as well. Can you maybe share some memories of Woodstock? What do you remember? What's the
memories I won't share?
Well, come on. You say you don't like us betting questions. Come on, let's dish some.
Memories of Woodstock. My main memories of Woodstock is the Holiday Inn that all the bands stayed in.
Did you not camp?
Well, it was called Camp Tranquility. Nobody didn't camp. No. And all the bullshit about you had to fly into Woodstock on a helicopter because the roads were all blocked. It was all rubbish. I drove to Woodstock in the back of a Volkswagen. It was being driven by my father-in-law. And we drove
down the hard shoulder.
Up the hard shoulder. Yeah, we drove all the way there, and they dropped us off at this Holiday Inn, which had a sign outside, Camp Tranquility. It was like, I don't know, it's hard to describe it. It was like a refugee camp. Every room was full of people just sleeping on the floor, in the beds, and the corridors, and the roadies were there. And it was crazy, absolutely crazy. We then drove to the gig. In those days, every band had a regulation Hertz rental station wagon. We used to pile into that. We just drove into the site. We got there at 7:30 at night and waited and waited and waited in the mud with very little drink. Very little drink, but it was safe to drink. There were a few decent Camberwell carrots flying around that kind of alleviate some of the boredom. But it just felt like waiting forever, because we went on at 5 o'clock in the morning, and that's a long time to wait, and we're not good at waiting. And then Abby Hoffman made the mistake, who was a political activist out of Detroit. made the mistake of getting on stage to try and make a political speech in the middle of the Who show in front of Pete Townsend. Not a good idea.
But there are about 500, 500,000 people estimated. I can't even imagine what that looked like.
It looked like a mess. They were covered in mud. I mean, it just went as far as the horizon. It was just a sea of people and bodies. And by that time, everybody was completely gone. And people were being killed. With people falling out of lighting rigs. It wasn't pretty. Let's put it that way. But I think when people ask me, you know, you were the stars of Woodstock, or we were the stars of Woodstock, I always say, no, we certainly weren't the stars of Woodstock, or any of the bands. The stars at Woodstock were the crowd. They were incredible. They were incredible. And the fact that 500,000 people trooped from all over America, because you've got to remember this was the generation that were being conscripted for the Vietnam War. You know, they might go back home to find a letter in the box. You'd turn up at Clarksdale. It wasn't fun. But that audience, by being there, that 500,000 people on the move, and putting up with that kind of, let's be honest, this was hardship. It wasn't like Glastonbury, even on the worst rainy Glastonbury. This was real hardship for these people. I think that was the first key in the lock to unlock the possibility of getting the Vietnam War ended. It made us, the politicians, sit up and take notice. You know, this anger's got to be controlled.
One more question, we can't let you go without talking about the Teenage Cancer Trust, which just continues to do incredible work. You're so involved in this charity. It's easy to get involved in charities, but you are so involved in this. Why is it so important to you?
This is a very simple answer. I mean, without the support of teenagers, we haven't got a music business. Full stop. If they're there for you, you be there for them. Charity is unconditional. And it's very simple. What we do is we take care of their environment. You know, we make them comfortable within the system, rather than isolated and traumatised, which is how it used to be. Hello? What was that? Terrifying. It wasn't the old man, was it? I'm sorry for you.
And the incredible gigs at the Royal Albert Hall, which, how many years is it now?
We're just working on our 20th. Yeah, 20 years next year.
And you're there at pretty much every single one, aren't you? You don't necessarily go on stage, but you're there backstage.
Well, if we're not touring, I'm there. Sometimes I don't go on. It depends. I'm so proud of the charity, because this country leads the world in what we do. We make them notice that adolescents and young adults are very, very different from children or older adults. They're very, very different, especially today.
And long may it continue. Thank you so much. And he's already shared a little secret about his plans for next year's gigs, which I'm not going to say, but it's very exciting.
It's a good idea.
It's an amazing idea.
Yeah, you've got to convince them. When you see them, you've got to tell them.
Yeah. I can't say. Give me a couple
Every
of drinks
year
on
I
my
have to
share.
make all these bands, all these people, offers they can't refuse. And I'm getting old. There's still a few bands that I've never managed to get, and it's always been a dream. You know, one of them's had a big film out recently. The irony is the two that are in that band, from the original band, wanted to do it, but the singer had a solo album out at the time, and was far busier promoting that. And I couldn't believe it. It was the best promotion you could have ever had. Do the Albert Hall.
Talking actually films of famous people, when are we going to get a film about The Who, and who would play you?
You wouldn't want a film about them. There's not a rating low enough. No, you wouldn't want that.
No, we would.
No, I'm going to do the Keith Moon film, and that will have a very low rating to it. That will be the antithesis of Bohemian Rhapsody. or even Rock. I haven't seen Rocket Man, but I have to say I saw Bohemian Rhapsody, And I thought, you know, Rami Malek certainly deserved what he got. I don't know about an Oscar, but he deserved to be honoured for what he did there, because he did a great job with a very thin script. You know, he really did.
So you do want to make the film for Keith?
I want to do. I'm definitely going to make a film with Keith when I get the right script. It's a very. I don't want to make a biopic. You know, biopic's kind of going life. You know, I want to make a drama. It's something much more than that. But Keith Moon's a central character, because I've never met anyone like him ever in my life, and I doubt if I ever will. And you should all be kind of grateful for that. No, he was wonderful. He was wonderful, but he was very dangerous, very frustrating. You could love him one minute and you'd hate him the next. He could do all those things to you. But he was a genius. An uncontrolled, completely out of control genius. Completely out of control.
Thank you very much, Roger Daltrey, everyone. And thank you. We could talk for ages, but I
just want you to know that I've signed all these records and things, and there's a £5 surcharge on them, and that's going to Teenage Cancer Trust. So we'll be very grateful for that, because every year our costs of running our 28 hospital wards go up and up and up, and the fundraising is getting harder and harder. So anyway, if everybody buys every one that I've signed, that's another £5 to TCT. So thank you very much. All right. Oh.